Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Davis, and I am the coordinator for the Metro Phoenix EcoFlora project. I'm going to give an overview of the project and talk about where we are currently. EcoFlora is an initiative of the New York Botanical Garden. It was conceptualized in 2016, and they had great success with it. In 2019, New York Botanical Garden received a national leadership grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services to scale up the project. Recipients of this grant were the gardens you see on this slide, including us here at Desert Botanical Garden. Each garden has their own EcoFlora project, and we are all part of an effort to bring EcoFlora to a wider audience and create a toolkit so it can be implemented more easily by other gardens and organizations. EcoFlora is under the umbrella of the Central Arizona Conservation Alliance. EcoFlora's goals are well aligned with and support CASCA's, and will work to contribute to the efforts they are putting forth, such as connecting people with nature, invasive species management, and so forth. And we're really focused on the love and support goal of the Ross. So what is EcoFlora? EcoFlora is a project that leverages citizen or community science to collect data on urban biodiversity, specifically plant life. At the same time, this project is enhancing community relationships with the nature around them. The project centers around these three concepts. We want to understand more about the effects of urbanization. So in this picture you see on the right, how is this affecting plant life or wildlife, even more so in the urban core, not just ex-urban or suburban areas? We want to make biodiversity data available to everyone. We use a platform that's free and open to the public, so anyone with a smartphone or access to a computer can see this information. We encourage the use of SciNet, which is also open for public use. We want to increase understanding and appreciation of plant life. Plants can oftentimes be sort of an inanimate object for a lot of people. Oftentimes they can blend in like a park bench or a street light. They're there in the background, but they just don't stand out until people use them or appreciate them. And we want EcoFlora to be a venue for that, a way to increase the recognition and understanding of plants and ecosystems, specifically here in Metro Phoenix. So the Metro Phoenix EcoFlora project is our local chapter of the larger EcoFlora. How does this work? Participants look for plants, animals, insects, any living thing, and document them with a web-based platform and app called iNaturalist. This is like a digital field guide and notebook that allows people to record observations. The project has crowdsourced data for years now, and it uses information to suggest identifications, and it's impressively accurate. People from around the world can also weigh in with identification assistance. The app records data such as dates, coordinates, notes, phenology, and keeps it in a database. The app is great, especially for identification, but the website has this collaborative feel to it where people can comment and message back and forth and really get involved in projects and have that community feel. So on a greater scale, the observations that become research grade in iNaturalist are linked to GBIF. Now, this is the Global Biodiversity Information Database. It's an international network that seeks to provide open access to biodiversity data. Researchers at a global level can publish using this data, so what we do really can have an impact outside of Metro Phoenix. So we're also using SciNet, a digital online portal for floristic information. We use this to see what has been recorded in the area and compare it to what people are finding through iNaturalist. We recently finished our target species list, which is a list of plant species we have records of in Metro Phoenix but have not seen on iNaturalist. We're also working on the flip side of that with a list of plants that have been seen on iNaturalist but may not have records for them in the herbarium. This gives us a glimpse into the overall state of biodiversity in the area over time. So here you can see our boundary or study area for the Metro Phoenix project in iNaturalist. It's loosely based on CASCA's study area. We chose to use the parks as sort of outlying points, and all the red squares you see are observations made by project members. On the lower right are the top 15 observations of the project, which this is fluid and changing as we continually make new observations. And I want to note that we're focused on plant life, but accept observations of all species because we want to know about that overall state of urban biodiversity. So we're not solely looking at how many of a plant species are here, but things like pollinator corridors or landscape practices, phenology. There's a lot of things that we can look at. As a side note, we do not encourage observations of houseplants or domesticated animals like your dog in your living room. An important part of this project is Ecoquests. In addition to the overall project, these are monthly challenges that task the community with specific missions, like hide and seek games for urban biodiversity. And we look for certain plants or ecological interactions. This is how we really hone in on specific data. We outreach and educate and collaborate with organizations. For example, the photo you see on this slide on the left was an EcoQuest looking for desert willow. This helped us map where the species is growing, provided an opportunity to teach about a great native plant that works well in urban areas, and was in collaboration with the Arizona Native Plant Society. Another example is our wildfire Ecoquest. We wanted to really increase the awareness that the Sonora Desert is not fire adapted. We heard a lot of, the saguaros are still green, it's gonna be okay, things are gonna come back. So we really wanted to get that messaging out there that it's not fire adapted, and a lot of these species can't tolerate it. But we also wanted to provide a resource for restoration, especially for home landscapes that had suffered from fire. We created a guide in iNaturalist to accompany this EcoQuest, so even people that aren't actively participating in the project can still learn and benefit from it. We also have a journal and a newsletter that helps to keep everyone up to date with EcoQuest results, project happenings, and discoveries. Social media is also a venue for interaction with each other and broadening the scope of education and raising awareness. Despite the global health crisis, about 2 months into getting the project going, we've been able to shift everything to virtual that wasn't previously. This includes EcoQuests, workshops, and events. Workshops consist of an introduction to the project. There's also a tech workshop, which teaches people how to join and use iNaturalist. And seeing as we can't gather together just yet, we created Eco Questions, which are short virtual presentations themed around the EcoQuest of the month and are presented by scientists, community members, and experts, and are followed by a question and answer session. For example, in December, we hosted a session with a PhD student from Oklahoma State who was focused on sandmat spurges. We also hosted botany socials and block parties where everyone gets together to play botany-themed games, talk about plants and the project. We refer to our project members as neighborhood naturalists, and the badge on this slide represents that. As mentioned in the last slide, we've established our social media channels. This month, we collaborated with Great Milkweed Grow Out for our EcoQuest in February and hosted a social media takeover with them. We saw really great engagement from this. The Milkweed of Arizona poster that you see on the right had over 1,000 views on Facebook. It was really neat. So these workshops, events, and social presence have been vital for maintaining communication and building the community aspect and really the project overall. EcoFlora has been featured in various newsletters and collateral from other groups and organizations, including the Native Plant Society, Maricopa Native Seed Library, McDowell Sonoran Conservancy, Arizona Association for Environmental Education, and of course, Cascade and Desert Botanical Garden. We have also collaborated with organizations outside of the project itself. McDowell Sonoran Conservancy Kids, we worked with them on educational videos and a newsletter together. This year, we are also included in the virtual Arizona Native Plant Fest, which will run through October. Last but certainly not least, when it comes to collaboration, the marketing team at the garden have been incredibly supportive and essential for dispersing information about the project. They have created collateral for us as well as all of the wonderful EcoFlora logos you have seen throughout this presentation. This has given us a solid and recognizable branding for the project. These are our current stats, which are from the start of the project in February of 2020 last year. As of today, there are 224 project members, 144 active observers, and 961 identifiers. So looking at these charts, we have had over 10,500 observations by project members. About 60% of those are research grade, and as we mentioned earlier, those go into that GBIF database. About 1,400 species, half of which are plants. And if we opened up that category, we've observed 670 different species of plants so far. Insects are the second largest category, followed by birds. So we've had almost 19,000 identifications, which you might ask how that's possible if we've only had 10,000 or so observations. So the answer to this is that observations can have multiple people add identifications, making a stronger ID. So you can have three people add an identification to one observation. Our most popular EcoQuest so far was in October, called Ocotillober. We were looking for ocotillos in urban areas. We had 624 observations by 31 people. And before this EcoQuest, there were about 400, so we brought that total up to over 1,000. One project member even did the math to figure out how many ocotillos were on average per mile during their bike ride, and it was about 2 per mile for 80 miles, I believe, which is really fun. The results from the EcoQuest allowed us to see possible pollinator corridors. You can see those red lines here, and nectar resources for hummingbirds throughout the valley. The green dots are Ocotillo observations, and you can see how these possible corridors connect open spaces, supporting the necessity of these areas. Some really neat observations that we've seen with the project, an iron cross blister beetle, a sleeping bobcat in someone's backyard, roseate spoonbills, which look completely tropical, and badgers, the vermilion flycatcher on top of a no fire sign, which is kind of ironic as their scientific name means flame-headed. And we've had observations of what appear to be recent introductions of plants, including cornspurry, Spergilla arvensis, and Lasiapogon. We expect to find even more new plants, especially with that target and non-recorded list that we've created that I mentioned earlier. So looking into the future for this year, we are continuing EcoQuest events, etc. We're also co-organizing the City Nature Challenge for the Greater Phoenix area with the City of Chandler Community Services, Recreation, and Educating Children Outdoors. This is a global challenge to see which city or region can make the most observations from April 30th to May 3rd. And this is the first year that the Greater Phoenix area will be participating, so wish us luck. EcoFlora will be presenting at the Virtual Citizen Science Association Cityside Virtual Conference in May. Also for the American Public Garden Association Conference in June, we'll be giving a presentation. We've recently begun working with a graduate student at New York Botanical Garden to create a symbiota portal for EcoFloras across the country. And this will be like a sign up page for our EcoFlora project specifically. Something I'm really excited about is our merit system, which will launch in March. This is a system for project members, and they'll receive various merits for making specific numbers of observations. For example, 1,000 observations gets you an EcoFlora t-shirt. And once again, marketing has done a fabulous job creating these virtual badges that people can sport on their social media or iNaturalist profile. So lots of things we're looking forward to after laying the foundations this past year. This upcoming year will center around engagement, building participation, and community. So again, my name is Jenny Davis. I'm very excited to carry this project into the next few years and see what we can find. Please feel free to email me at this email address you see here. And if you'd like to join the project or sign up for the newsletter, you can send me an email there as well. Thank you.